Imagine every single person on a plane silently lost consciousness at 34,000 feet. That unthinkable horror became reality for Helios Airways Flight 522. This occurred on August 14th, 2005, a Sunday. The aircraft was a Boeing 737-300 model. It carried 115 passengers and 6 crew, comprising a captain, a first officer, and 4 cabin staff, a total of 121 individuals. The flight departed Larnaca, Cyprus at 9:07 a.m. local time. Its intended destination was Prague, Czech Republic, with a scheduled technical stop in Athens, Greece. A critical maintenance check had occurred the night before the flight in Larnaca. During that check, the cabin pressurization switch was inadvertently left in the manual position instead of auto. This crucial oversight happened after engineers performed a pressure leak check on the cabin door. As the plane climbed through 12,000 feet, a cabin altitude warning sounded loudly in the cockpit. The pilots tragically misidentified this alarm. They incorrectly believed it was an equipment cooling problem, a different system entirely, not a catastrophic pressure loss. They radioed the airline operations center discussing the non-existent cooling issue for several minutes. Oxygen masks deployed automatically for passengers at 14,000 feet, providing about 15 minutes of emergency oxygen. In the cockpit, the pilots had a separate oxygen supply system which was not used in time. They quickly became incapacitated by severe hypoxia, a profound lack of oxygen. Air traffic control in Athens lost all contact with the aircraft at 10:22 a.m. For over 2 hours, the ghost plane continued on autopilot its programmed flight path. It flew steadily at 34,000 feet, maintaining course. 2 Greek F-16 fighter jets were scrambled from Tanagra Air Base. They intercepted the unresponsive airliner at 10:55 a.m. The fighter pilots observed the captain slumped over the controls. The first officer was also seen motionless in her seat. They clearly saw oxygen masks hanging deployed in the passenger cabin. The aircraft's engines eventually flamed out from fuel exhaustion. This happened above 34,000 feet, one engine at 11:21 a.m. and the second at 11:23 a.m. Andreas Protomou, a courageous flight attendant, found a portable oxygen cylinder and began breathing from it. He also possessed a valid commercial pilot license. He made his way to the cockpit despite the extreme conditions. The F-16 pilot saw him attempting to gain control of the aircraft. He briefly sat in the captain's seat, struggling with the controls, trying to input commands. His heroic efforts came tragically too late. The plane began an uncontrolled descent at 11:50 a.m. It impacted a hilly area near Grammatiko, Greece, just north of Athens. The impact time was 12:04 p.m. All 121 people on board died instantly in the devastating crash. The official investigation later confirmed the manual pressurization switch setting was the primary causal factor. Human factors, inadequate checklist usage, and insufficient emergency training contributed significantly to the disaster. The accident revealed critical safety gaps in aviation procedures. It highlighted the utmost importance of correct alarm identification and adherence to operational protocols. The total flight time from takeoff to impact was approximately 3 hours. This tragic flight remains a stark and unforgettable lesson for the entire global aviation industry. Every soul was gone. The plane flew on. This was the fate of Helios Airways Flight 522, August 14, 2005, Sunday. The Boeing 737-300 carried 115 passengers, 6 crew, 121 individuals. It departed Larnaca, Cyprus, 9:07 a.m. local, for Prague, Czech Republic, with a stop in Athens, Greece. A maintenance check the night before left a cabin pressurization switch manual, not auto, after engineers checked a cabin door for leaks. This oversight began disaster at 12,000 feet. A loud cabin altitude warning sounded. Pilots misidentified this alarm as equipment cooling a different system. They radioed airline operations discussing the non-existent cooling issue for minutes. Passenger oxygen masks deployed automatically at 14,000 feet, offering 15 minutes emergency oxygen. In the cockpit, pilots had separate oxygen, but did not use it quickly, incapacitated by severe hypoxia. Athens air traffic control lost contact 10:22 a.m. For 2 hours, the ghost plane continued autopilot 34,000 feet, Two Greek F-16 fighter jets scrambled from Tanagra Air Base intercepted the airliner 10:55 a.m. Fighter pilots observed captains slumped over controls, first officer motionless in seat, oxygen masks deployed in cabin. Aircraft engines flamed out from fuel exhaustion. 1:11:21 a.m., second 11:23 a.m. above 34,000 feet. Andreas Prodromo, a flight attendant and commercial pilot, found a portable oxygen cylinder and breathed. He made way to cockpit despite conditions. F-16 pilots saw him attempting control, sitting in captain's seat struggling to input commands. His efforts came too late. The plane began uncontrolled descent, 11:50 a.m. It impacted hilly area near Grammatico, Greece, north of Athens, 12:04 p.m. All 121 people died instantly. Investigation confirmed manual pressurization switch was primary factor. Human factors, inadequate checklist usage, insufficient emergency training contributed to disaster. Accident revealed safety gaps in procedures highlighting alarm identification and operational protocols. Total flight time takeoff to impact 3 hours. No one was alive on board a massive plane flying 34,000 feet high. The ghost flight was Helios Airways Flight 522 on August 14, 2005, a Sunday morning, carrying 121 souls. 115 passengers and 6 crew members departed Larnaca, Cyprus at 9:07 a.m. local time, headed for Prague, Czech Republic, with a scheduled stop in Athens, Greece. A critical error from a maintenance check the previous night sealed their fate. A cabin pressurization switch was left on manual instead of auto, after engineers had checked a cabin door for leaks. At 12,000 feet, a loud cabin altitude warning blared, but pilots misidentified this crucial alarm as an equipment cooling issue, a different system entirely. They spent valuable minutes radioing airline operations, discussing this non-existent cooling problem, completely unaware of the real danger escalating around them. Passenger oxygen masks deployed automatically at 14,000 feet, offering a mere 15 minutes of emergency oxygen. Inside the cockpit, the pilots had their own separate oxygen supply, but were too slow to utilize it quickly, becoming incapacitated by severe hypoxia, a lack of oxygen to the brain. Athens Air Traffic Control lost contact at 10:22 a.m., marking the start of 2 hours where the Boeing 737-300 continued its automated flight at 34,000 feet, a terrifying aerial phantom. 2 Greek F-16 fighter jets were scrambled from Tanagra Air Base, intercepting the airliner at 10:55 a.m. The fighter pilots observed the captain slumped over the controls, and the first officer motionless in his seat while cabin oxygen masks were clearly deployed throughout the plane. Both aircraft engines flamed out due to fuel exhaustion, first at 11:21 a.m. and the second at 11:23 a.m., all still above 34,000 feet. Andreas Prodromo, a courageous flight attendant and also a commercial pilot, found a portable oxygen cylinder and managed to breathe. He made his way to the cockpit, despite the extreme conditions. The F-16 pilots watched as he attempted to gain control sitting in the captain's seat, struggling to input commands. His desperate efforts, however, came far too late. The plane began an uncontrolled descent at 11:50 a.m., impacting a hilly area near Grammatico, Greece, north of Athens at 12:04 p.m. All 121 people on board died instantly upon impact. The subsequent investigation confirmed the manual pressurization switch was the primary factor in this disaster. Human factors, such as inadequate checklist usage and insufficient emergency training, significantly contributed to the catastrophe. This tragic accident revealed severe safety gaps in operational procedures, highlighting the desperate need for improved alarm identification protocols. The total flight time from takeoff to impact lasted exactly 3 hours, a chilling duration, for a flight doomed from its very start.